an woman
active
and
rape.
tying her down and beating her and her, is that the same thing as grabbing a woman's ass at work?
He didn't grab E. Jean Carroll's ass, right? He raped her by forcefully inserting his fingers into her female member against her will.
Well, that was never...
Is rape violent?
A physical with non-consenting, yes, it is.
Okay,
But-
so there, that's where I'm getting violent criminal from. He was held liable in a civil court for something that's incredibly violent, and he was convicted of 34 felonies.
I'll never support a Democrat, period. I don't care who it is.
Listen, Steve, go ahead and take it away. Why the hell do you support Trump?
Well, to be honest, like the other caller said, I'm a Republican, support Republicans. I'll never support a Democrat, period. I don't care who it is. But
Can we stop there?
No, let me continue. So Trump, first of all, yes, he's not politically correct. He's arrogant. He's an asshole. We acknowledge all that, okay? But liberals have had control for quite a long time. And to be honest with you, the country has not gotten any better at all whatsoever. You can throw out all your numbers and stats and GP. I get it. But bottom line is, as a consumer and as an American citizen, things have basically been status quo for the last, 12 years? Even go back to Clinton. It's been the same.
Including Trump in his first term?
Excuse me?
So Donald Trump didn't push the status quo in his first term, so why would he push the status quo in his second?
Because he's gotten way, you can admit this, he's gotten way more radical and aggressive this term than he did the first term.
Right, but I think the ways in which he's radical and aggressive, like, don't help the country. Like, in which ways is he radical and aggressive that are super good for America?
Well, and everything. I mean, he did not, when the first term he was discussing how he wanted to change immigration and go after the illegals and all that, but it didn't get as radical as he did this time with the ICE going on the street.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. So if we militarize our cities, if we give the Department of War the directive to use our cities as quote-unquote training grounds for the military, as Donald Trump said to Hegseth publicly, and if we illegally deport people like Abrigo Garcia to be beaten, starved, and tortured for months in Sica in El Salvador, and illegally deport Venezuelan immigrants without due process, then have SCOTUS tell us that we can't do it, and illegally detain legal immigrants like Mahmoud Khalil for 3 months, even though he's a green card holder, a nice detention center, then everything's going to get better, right? Right, Steve?
Yeah, actually it is. You want me to tell you why, or are you going to cut me off again?
Well, so when we break the law, things get better. So then why the hell are you condemning undocumented
How
immigrants?
good was it working when Obama was doing it?
Well, Obama didn't deport anybody without due process. Obama didn't send people to a center for terrorists in El Salvador. And Obama created work programs so undocumented immigrants without criminal offenses could get a work permit.
Exactly, he did it. You're right.
And that was great.
And how did
right?
immigration work?
And then what we see on the other hand here with Trump is raging fucking fascist authoritarian. Let's infringe on the 10th Amendment of the Constitution, deploy the National Guard in cities without any reason, then have 3 federal judges rule against us.
Well, there's reason.
Well, I mean, according to the Federal Appeals Court, there wasn't.
How about throwing Molotov cocktails at federal agents and throwing car bombs and rocks and bricks through federal agent cars and buildings? Call that no reason?
Well, I mean, Donald Trump calls the people that do that patriots. I mean, those are the people that broke into the Capitol. No, let me speak. Smeared shit on the wall, right? Took metal pipes, beat cops over the back, tried to get their gun to kill them. And then, one of them named DJ Rodriguez got Officer Fanone's stun gun, drove it into his neck, gave him a heart attack. You know what Donald Trump responded to that by? Not like by deploying the National Guard on not deploying the National Guard on DJ Rodriguez, but by letting him out of jail 8 years early and calling him a patriot. Can you recognize your hypocrisy, sir? Because in one breath, I guess, we got to condemn this mutiny. This is an insurrection against the government. But when you have a bunch of Trump supporters doing it on the steps and within the capital of this country, all of a sudden they're patriots.
Why do you always to fit your narrative? Like yesterday, we were watching live with you about the little meeting when the cabinet was. What was that you were watching? I forget when they were talking about. There was a quote that you really stuck on where you said the president gave them directive to shoot and kill illegals on the streets of America. Remember? You said that?
I think that you're talking about what Kristi Noem said.
No, but you quoted it. But that's not what she said. She said that she was directed by the president to hunt and kill terrorists. She never once said on the streets of America. You said that. Go back. I got the video. You could go back and look at it. Check it.
I have a question. What department does Kristi Noem run?
She's in she's in Homeland Security, isn't she?
Yeah.
So what's your point?
Homeland Security. DHS works domestically.
You don't think Homeland Security goes after terrorists outside the streets of America?
That's Hegseth's role. Hegseth.
I understand, but what I'm saying is that
right.
the point I'm making
the DHS operates domestically. Now, like the military, Hegseth, they can run like a national operation.
Never came out of her mouth. You said that.
Okay, well, I think now you're either misquoting me or you're misquoting Kristi Noem.
Oh no, check yourself.
If you go back and you rewatch the beginning of the stream yesterday, anybody is available to do this, right? She said that Donald Trump gave her a directive just to shoot and kill people, and I'm like, what? Why did she say that Donald Trump gave her a directive to shoot and kill people?
But did we not do that with Osama bin Laden? Did we not hunt him down and shoot him and kill him?
Yeah, no, DHS didn't do that. No, that was the military. That was SEAL Team 6. Was SEAL Team 6 a part of DHS?
No, but it doesn't matter.
Exactly my point. It does matter because of who said it. It does matter because of who said it. If Hegseth said this, right?
So
one second, Steve. Just allow me to speak here, Steve. If Hegseth said this, and this was if Hegseth said this, and this was in reference to like taking out the boats in the Caribbean, that would have been one thing. But the fact that it's Kristi Noem, well, I disagree. But the fact that it's Kristi Noem, right, the leader of the Department of Homeland Security, not the military that's saying this, makes it even worse. But matter of fact, I think it's funny that you're now using this as an attempt to pivot and completely change the topic of conversation. Because on the last topic, you were getting absolutely cooked, so you try to find an out. Matter of fact, Steve, I'd like if you could...
Topic, Steve?
Oh, yeah, it's where you brought up that Donald Trump is deploying the military in these cities because people are rioting and Molotov cocktails and car bombing. No, that's what you said.
No, you brought that up, Steve, and that's why I said that's why he's doing it.
Right. And then I said in response to that, well, I mean, the only individuals that I really know who were doing that were the rioters at the Capitol on January 6th that Donald Trump called patriots.
So you're saying that Democrats never protest with riots and violence?
No, I'm saying that they're not doing that, and they haven't been doing that in cities like Portland, where Donald Trump has been attempting to illegally declare and deploy the National Guard in reference to the context of the conversation we're having.
But actually, it's not illegal. He has the right to do that. That's why he does it.
I mean, according to particular federal courts, that's not true. In fact,
why does he get away with doing it?
Well, actually, he's not. They're still withstanding TKO order forbidding.
Did he do it in California? I live in California. Did he do it in California?
Well, you got to completely change the topic of the conversation as something that happened 4 months ago in order to win a debate. The facts of this debate matter. A federal judge in Portland ruled withstanding TKO order forbidding Trump's ability to deploy the National Guard within the city because under the 10th Amendment, she doesn't think that he has sufficient reason to do so, thereby forbidding it. That is a withstanding TKO order. So instead of pivoting to a place where there was not a withstanding TKO order forbidding Donald Trump from deploying the National Guard, actually respond to the substance of the conversation and ensure that you're also addressing the hypocrisy that I'm pointing out to you, which is the fact, oh, well, maybe if people are rioting in California, we need to deploy the National Guard, but when people are rioting, right, on the steps of the American Capitol, we need to call them patriots and let them out of jail.
When Black Lives Matter riots were going on, was the National Guard called?
I don't know. Ask Trump, the president who was serving in this country when the BLM riots were occurring.
But you didn't have a problem when that happened, right?
No, I absolutely do have a problem with the destruction of property. I have a problem with beating people up in the streets. But you have a problem with not pivoting because for the last time, I've repeated this 5 times and you cannot respond to it. Why is it the case that when people riot in California, you think that the National Guard should be brought in to haul the quote-unquote criminals away? But then when there's a riot on the steps of our Capitol, when people are smearing shit on the walls, when our congressmen and women are escaping an underground...
Went to jail.
Oh, and then they were let out 4 years later by Trump.
Okay, but that's a different thing. But they went to jail. I have no problem with that.
Oh, how do you feel? Do you have a problem with Donald Trump calling them patriots and letting them out of jail?
No, I mean, yeah, I do. But same thing with Biden pardoning his son.
Oh, I don't think
you have a problem with that?
I don't think that Biden pardoning Hunter Biden for a nonviolent criminal offense.
Here we go. Here we go. So you're fine with that then, right?
I actually am. I don't care about that because it was a nonviolent criminal offense with no real repercussions that was only alleged onto Hunter Biden because he was the son of Biden. Dude, like even Charlie Kirk agreed with this take. I'm not giving you some crazy far leftist take. Literally, even Charlie Kirk said that he had no problem with Joe Biden's pardon of Hunter Biden, right? But obviously, there's a huge difference between a pardon for a non-violent criminal offense and a pardon for a violent criminal offense. Even in this conversation that I'm having with you about Trump, I'm not bringing up his pardon of George Santos. Like, I'm specifically asking you about his pardon of the violent rioters that tried to kill cops on the steps of our Capitol on January 6th. How can you say that Donald Trump is pro-law and order? How can you say that Donald Trump wants to lock the criminals up when he's actively letting the violent ones that tried to kill our law enforcement officers out of jail 8 years early, labeling them as patriots while being a 34-count felon adjudicated rapist himself? That, sir, is what I want you to respond to.
Okay, I will. You're saying that Trump is a violent criminal? Is that what you're saying? His 34 counts of felony, are they violent crimes or non-violent crimes?
No, those are non-violent crimes. So he's a criminal because of the non-violent 34 felonies, and he's violent because of the adjudication of the rape of V. Jean Carroll. Violent criminal.
No, let me see. You don't let nobody finish. Do you ever let somebody finish without cutting them off?
Well, listen, I'll let you finish about as many times as you've made your wife finish in the last 25 years. All right, that was too far. That was too sorry. That was too far. No, I take it back. That was too far.
If you want to start insulting, I can start insulting.
No, that was too far. That was too far. I'm sorry. We'll get back to the productive debate.
I'll let the 21-year-old kid get that one. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That's a deserved comment. That's a deserved comment. That's a deserved. Go ahead.
Are those 34 counts violent or non-violent?
They were non-violent.
Okay, and his grape charge, was that a violent or non-violent one?
Yeah, rape is violent.
No. The one first of all, he was not convicted. Was he convicted of grape?
He was found guilty of it.
No. Was he convicted of grape?
When you say convicted,
answer the question.
When you say convicted, do you mean found guilty in a criminal court?
Yes.
No, because he was found guilty in a civil court.
So was it a criminal? Was it a violent criminal act?
So yeah, I think that rape is a violent criminal act.
No, not what you think. I'm saying technically, was it or was it not?
I will never say that rape is not a violent criminal act. What about you?
You're telling me, let me ask you this.
One second. Can you answer that question?
I don't want to get you in trouble.
One second. Is rape a violent criminal act?
That's what I'm going to right now.
Can I just get a yes or no? Is rape violent? Let's just start there. Is rape violent?
A physical grape with non-consenting? Yes, it is.
Okay, that's where I'm getting violent criminal from. He was held liable in a civil court for something that's incredibly violent, and he was convicted of 34 felonies. I just want to make my position clear. The reason why I call Trump
sexual harassment grape?
Is sexual harassment rape? No. Sexual harassment is not rape.
Exactly. But, okay, so grabbing a woman's ass at work, is that a violent act of grape?
That's not even
answer the question.
So sexual. If you'll allow me to finish speaking, what you just described is not sexual harassment. That would be sexual abuse.
Okay, is that a violent act of grape?
Is like grabbing somebody's ass.
Like grabbing a woman and tying her down and beating her and raping her. Is that the same thing as grabbing a woman's ass at work?
I'd say that they both categorically fall under the same category of like violent sexual abuse that should not be condoned or allowed in American society at large, right? But I mean, maybe we need to clarify, right, like what Donald Trump was found to have done inside of that courtroom.
That's what you need to do.
He didn't grab E. Jean Carroll's ass, right? He raped her by forcefully inserting his fingers into her female member against her will.
Well, that was never. Let's see again. This is alleged. I was never convicted of that.
Yeah, that's what the jury determined he did.
But not in a criminal. If the jury determined he did that in a court of law, he would have been in jail. No,
because civil courts have juries, and civil courts don't send people to jail.
Right. I'm talking about. See, that's what I'm saying. You're talking about civil court, and you're talking about criminal court.
Right, so he was found guilty for this in a civil court.
There's no such thing. In civil court, you cannot have a criminal, you cannot be convicted of a criminal a violent act. That would be in a criminal court.
Okay, Captain Obvious. Civil courts are not criminal courts. Criminal courts are not civil courts.
Right. So what I'm saying is, would you admit that liberals always say that about Trump, that he's a felon, 34-count felon? But he's not. A tax evasion. Would you consider that as a freaking act? I mean, a violent act?
Okay, we need to slow down here. Is that okay, Steve?
I'm slow. You're the one that's getting excited.
We just need to be able to dissect this dialogue and be like, like more specific with what we're saying here and more intentional about the words that we're saying. Okay.
And again,
right?
I agree.
So can you let me speak, Steve?
I get that.
So I want to clarify once again. I call Donald Trump a violent criminal because he's violent, right? As he was held civilly liable for the rape of Eugene Carroll. He's violent because he boasted about sexually exploiting naked girls and or naked women to Howard Stern. Okay? He's violent. Why are you laughing at that? Yes.
That is not violent. Talking about
sexually exploiting little girls isn't violent, Steve?
He never admitted to that. Oh my God.
Yes, he did. Would you like to hear him admit to that?
Yes, please. Let me hear it.
Okay. Well, I want you to actually go ahead and put your money where your mouth is. If I can convince you that this is something he's done, would you still support him as president?
Absolutely, 100%.
So you'd still support him as president even if he sexually exploited little girls?
He never sexually exploited
No, I'm saying if he sexually exploited little girls and or adult women, would you still support him as president?
If he was proven of that, no, I would not.
That's the question I was asking you, Steve.
Well, he's never been proven of that.
You're not even like listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth. If, right, Donald Trump sexually exploited little girls and or adult women, you would not support him as president. Correct, Steve?
Correct.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and keylog the moment you said that in my stream on YouTube, so then I could go back to it.
He's never been proven of that.
You're not even like listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth. Let me just get this down. Right, Donald Trump. Perfect. Okay, got the timestamp. Dude, you're not even like listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth. Okay, so I just got the timestamp on my YouTube stream where you are saying, right, very clearly that you would stop supporting Trump, right, if it was proven that he sexually exploited little girls and or adult women. All right? So next step, let's define sexual exploitation. I'm going to offer up my definition of sexual exploitation, and I want to see if you agree or disagree, okay? I define sexual exploitation as the abuse of a position of vulnerability, power, or trust for sexual purposes.
Are you waiting for me to respond?
Yeah, like, do you agree? Do you disagree? Where are we at?
I mean, there's a lot more to it than that, but that's part of it, yeah.
Okay, so as long as you agree that's part of it, I think for the intents and purposes of our discussion here, that's enough. All right. So in other words,
I know you were going with this.
So in other words, just listen to me. Just listen to me. So in other words,
I've heard this clip.
So in other words, if I could prove that Donald Trump has abused a position,
it's still not going to prove it to me.
So if I could prove that Donald Trump has abused a position of vulnerability, if I could prove that Donald Trump has abused a position of vulnerability, power, or trust for sexual purposes, dude, Steve, I'm going to mute you. Stop, dude. Earlier, you were like chastising me for being 21 and acting 21. Now you're 58, acting 14. Let me finish speaking here. All right. So if I could prove that Donald Trump has abused a position of vulnerability, power, or trust for sexual purposes, then you would stop supporting Donald Trump per your own admission. So I believe that Donald Trump admitted to this. He admitted to sexual exploitation when he went on Howard Stern's podcast and he told Howard Stern, right, that at Miss Teen USA, at Miss USA, right, he would walk backstage into the changing rooms of the contestants where there was no men around while they're naked with no clothes on to look at them, right, and that he would get away with this. I believe that this fulfills the definition of sexual exploitation as he's abusing, right, his position as the owner of the pageant, right, to then walk backstage into these dressing rooms by allowing himself in, right, then taking advantage of the position of vulnerability that the women and or girls are in inside of that space as they are vulnerable per the fact that they are naked and undressed in a space where they think only women will be. Let's go ahead and now listen to Donald Trump admitting that.
Only women will be. Go ahead.
And that's going to be my argument.
The question is, how can it not be construed?
No, I mean, some of these foreign girls, Mr. Trump, in my country, we say hello with vagina. And
well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
That is sexual exploitation, Steve.
Negative. First of all, they weren't minors. They were adult women. Second of all, That's because you said of little girls. You said it 3 times. Little girls. Those are not little girls. Miss USA pageant are all over 18. Yes or no?
Miss USA is over 18. Miss Teen USA is not. I believe that he did this at both per the testimony.
Okay, so now it's your opinion. We're talking facts here, buddy.
All right. Well, if you want me to just frame it differently, I believe it's a fact that he did it at both, right? Because
but to answer your question, no, I do not believe that's sexual exploitation.
Okay.
It might be perverted, but it might be wrong for me and you, but that's still not sex. No, sorry, you don't get that one.
Okay, why not?
Because I don't agree with you. You look at it one way. I look at it as if he was 27, I think, at that time when he did that.
He was not 27 in the 90s.
Oh, whatever. Whatever. It was we're talking, what, freaking 30, 40 years ago?
Yeah, when he was 40 or 50 or 60. Your age.
No. Dude, if he was 60, he would be 100. 40 years, he'd be 100 and something right now. Come on. You were better at the math than that, right?
Well, because it wasn't 40 years ago. Was the 90s 40 years ago? Was it early 2000s 40 years ago? Fucking idiot.
Okay, 35 years, 36 years ago?
Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, you would be like 100. Well, it's because it wasn't 40 years ago. Jesus Christ, Steve.
Okay, but my point...
And then, by the way, even if he was 27, that wouldn't change the fact that it was sexual exploitation. Like, for instance, I'm 21. I'm 21. If I did this, me at 21 years old, if I did this, I would be sexually exploiting them. And I'm 21. Age doesn't matter here.
Okay, let me ask you about... Your buddy did the same thing on Snapchat. Is that a sexual exploitation?
Okay, well, Harry Sisson didn't do the same thing. We could talk about Harry Sisson next, but before we talk about Harry Sisson...
We'll leave that one away.
No, we could talk about Harry Sisson. I'm down to have that conversation with you, but I'm not down to have that conversation with you as a pivot away from this. So once again, I believe that this is sexual exploitation. The reason I believe this is sexual exploitation is because, once again, the definition that you already agreed to was the abuse of a position of vulnerability. Question for you, sir. Was he abusing the fact that these women felt vulnerable enough to get undressed and take their clothes off in the women's only space as a way to sexually gratify himself by walking back there and looking at them while they had no clothes on?
No.
Wait, he wasn't abusing that position of vulnerability?
Well, I mean, he abused the position. I mean,
so he was. So he was abusing his position of power by walking in there, allowing himself as the owner, and he was abusing their position of vulnerability, feeling comfortable enough to take their clothes off because they were in a woman's only space, thereby fulfilling. Because there was no men around. That's what a woman's dressing room is, a woman's only space.
Really? You ever been backstage at a fashion show?
Well, I mean, he was. Obviously, he admitted to it.
Have you ever been backstage at Victoria's Secret?
Hey, I would really appreciate it if you'd allow me to finish speaking before you interrupt me with your very sick laughs. So you know who has been backstage at one of these beauty contestant pageants was Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, when he'd walk back there was no men around. Yeah, so what now? You just said, there was men around. Have you ever been backstage before? Donald Trump said that there wasn't.
You asked me if I agree with you. I said no.
Oh, but you agree without any reason because you are a fucking spineless cult member.
Reason.
Oh, then give the reason. Clarify the reason. You agreed that he was abusing his position of power. You agreed he was abusing their position of vulnerability. That, sir, would fulfill the definition of sexual exploitation that you agreed to.
Negative.
How so?
Because it's not.
Oh, because it's not? Didn't you agree that sexual exploitation would include abusing the position of vulnerability or power or trust for sexual purposes? You agreed to that, right?
I would say he's a pervert.
Wait, no, you're not answering my question, Steve. Once again, you did agree that the definition of sexual exploitation would include the abuse of a position of vulnerability, power, or trust for sexual purposes, correct?
Oh my God, how many times are you going to read that?
Oh, I'm going to read it as many times as it takes to get you to answer the damn question, old man. So once again, did you agree that sexual exploitation wouldn't...
No, what part of no do you not understand?
Earlier you told me yes. Are you stupid?
I don't agree. No, I don't agree.
Yes, you said that the definition of sexual exploitation would include this.
No, okay, well, I changed my mind. I disagree with that.
You changed your mind now that you realize that if you would agree with the original definition, then this would be classifying Trump as a sexual exploiter. Now I want you to give me your definition of sexual exploitation. What is it?
Are we going to talk about supporting Trump or not?
Yeah, we're going to talk about your hypocrisy and your support for literal sexual exploitation. You said that sexual exploitation is not and does not include. Hey, Steve.
For cancer, and you still would not.
Hey, Steve, sit down. Seriously, sit down. You just told me that sexual exploitation would not include the abuse of a position of vulnerability, power, or trust for sexual purposes.
Why is that so important to you? It's kind of weird.
Because I'm making a point that you're running away from. So once again. Because you disagree.
All right. So all right. What do you want to hear? He's a pervert. He likes looking at young women naked. Like 99% of men in this country or in the world, for that matter. Go ahead. What else do you want to hear?
Oh, you just made an admission.
What, that 99% of the men don't want to look at naked women? You're an idiot. Go ahead. Let me say you're going to flip that one. Flip it, Dean. Go ahead.
So you think that you like to do what Trump admitted to in that clip?
I said, see, there you say you are so good at flipping word. I said that 99% of the men in this world like looking at naked women.
Right, and you're saying that all Donald Trump admitted to in that clip was that he likes
would you not
looking at
agree to
naked
that?
women. So
you don't look.
So
you don't like.
So I
looking
just
at naked
want to
women?
clarify, Steve. That you
Answer
think,
the question, Dean.
Hey, Steve, I'm getting very close to kicking you because you are
Go
incapable.
ahead. You think I give a fuck?
Well, I mean, you gave a fuck enough to join the guest request.
Exactly, but I don't think I don't give a
But
shit.
now I'm gonna go
Just
ahead.
one of the other million that you kick. Who cares?
I'm gonna go ahead and finish speaking here, Steve. So I just want to
Why?
clarify.
And then kick me? That sounds really mature.
I think that you were being intentionally dense. Okay, Donald Trump didn't go on Howard Stern's podcast and say, "Oh, I don't know, I kind of like looking at like my naked wife."
He wasn't thinking about being president either when he did that.
I'm gonna need you to stop talking, Steve.
Kick me.
So you are now telling me that in order for me to be able to speak, I'll have to kick you? Why can't you just control
Well, you don't
yourself?
let me speak.
How
You
about-
don't let me speak.
How about I let you speak and you let me speak?
Go ahead.
You know what? Somebody in my YouTube chat just said, why does Dean always have to be so insulting? It doesn't accomplish anything. Well, fuck
Exactly.
you, Sean. I'll insult you too, just like I'll insult anybody who will come into this live and come into this space and actively defend sexual perversion and sexual exploitation. And if that's not
Steve,
something
I do
that
have
you,
a serious question.
one second, you're still interrupting me, Steve. And quite frankly,
No,
Sean,
but I really want to
oh my
ask you
God.
something personal.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
need, dude, stop interrupting
ahead.
me. What the fuck is your deal?
Go ahead. I don't want you crying. Go ahead.
I'm not crying. I'm just simply losing my patience.
Go ahead, Dean. I've told you 3 times. Go ahead.
Okay. So once again, Sean, just back to you in the comment section. If you don't like that fact about me, Sean, stop watching the stream, okay? Go hang out with some other live streamer that is just totally chill with the sexual exploitation of little girls and women. That's where you belong, Sean, not here if you're going to get mad at me for voicing frustration and being insulted against somebody that is. All right, Sean? Go leave now.
I insult you once, but go ahead.
I didn't say Steve. I said Sean, some commenter on my YouTube. Now, I would like to continue. Here's where we are at in the debate, okay? You told us that if Donald Trump had like sexually exploited, right, naked girls and or naked women, that you would no longer support him as president. Okay, I then went on to prove that Donald Trump has sexually exploited naked girls and or naked adult women. The first step of that process, Steve, stop it. The first step of that process was for us to define sexual exploitation, okay? I went on to define sexual exploitation as the abuse of a position of vulnerability, power, or trust for sexual purposes. I then asked you if you agree with this definition, and you said, yeah, I think that would be included in the definition of sexual exploitation. Okay? I then played you that clip of Donald Trump admitting to going backstage before these beauty contestant shows into the women's only space with no men around, into the women's dressing rooms to look at them while they were naked with no clothes on. And I described to you how that's him abusing his position of power as the owner of that pageant to allow himself in, and then abusing the position of vulnerability that those women and or girls would be in, where they feel vulnerable and comfortable enough to take their clothes off, right? Because there's only women around. And obviously, therefore, Donald Trump would be taking advantage of that fact when unconsensually looking at their naked bodies. And then I concluded by reasonably arguing that this would fulfill that definition of sexual exploitation that we agreed to. You then responded by saying, Dean, I still don't think it's sexual exploitation. I then responded by saying, well, Steve, the definition of sexual exploitation that you agreed to is clearly present within the actions that Donald Trump described in that clip. And then you said, well, I just disagree with that definition of sexual exploitation. I've changed my mind. I believe in another definition of sexual exploitation. And then I asked you to please define your definition of sexual exploitation so we could work our way around this disagreement. And then you started talking about Harry Sisson. So I want to go back to that question without a pivot this time. Please give us your definition of sexual exploitation that makes it clear that Donald Trump did not sexually exploit these naked women and naked girls that he looked at unconsensually while they were naked in a woman's only space, abusing his position of power to get into in the first place.
My turn?
Yeah, just define sexual exploitation. That's the question.
Well, in that, well, you want sex, but okay, first of all, to exploit something is to gain something out of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So he was already the owner of that whole pageant thing, correct?
Yeah.
So he's not, by going back there and looking at or seeing these women naked, he wasn't exploiting them to gain something financial, gain something at all. He was doing it out of basically as a man looking at naked women being perverted about it.
He was gaining something sexual out of it. That's why it's called sexual exploitation. Exactly.
Right.
That's why it's called sexual exploitation. It's not financial exploitation. It's not business exploitation. It's sexual. It's sexual exploitation.
He doesn't let you finish. Look, go ahead.
He wasn't gaining something financial out of it because it wasn't financial exploitation. He was getting something sexual out of it. That's why it's sexual exploitation.
Right. But what I'm saying is that you make, for now, let's say that you're right. He got something sexual out of it, right? Are you telling me that you have never looked at a woman and got something sexual out of it?
Oh my God, Steve. This is just getting insane at this point. Yeah, I have looked at a woman and gained something sexual out of it. But the reason why it wasn't sexual exploitation
with her permission?
It was with her permission and it was consensual.
Right. But what I'm asking you, you've never looked at a woman that she didn't know about?
I've never looked at a woman
maybe in a
consensually, and gained sexual gratification out of it. Like I've never.
Can I ask you something personal, Dean? Are you consider yourself a political activist? No, I'm being serious.
Before I answer that question, I want you to give us your definition of sexual exploitation. Why are you refusing?
Bro, I didn't. My whole thing about Trump and Republican is not about sexual exploitation.
Ali, thank you so much for the $20 over on Venmo. Saying, ask him if he were to care for his daughters/granddaughters at their own dance recital, and the male owner was allowed to go back and look at them while they were naked. Would they have been sexually exploited? Do you want to go ahead and answer that question real quick?
First of all, they're not little girls like she's saying.
Yeah, well, we had a 17-year-old testify that this happened to her and people as young as 15. But I mean, in the original question, I said to little girls and or adult women, so that doesn't change anything. Answer Amanda's question, old man.
You said little girls.
Answer Amanda's question, old man.
Are you going to start crying, Dean?
No, I'm just going to ask you to answer a question. It's pretty simple. I
just did.
No, you didn't.
I said it has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Okay, so your answer to the question is not to answer it. Well, thank you so much for the $10, Amanda.
Give him money. That's what he does this for. Give him money.
Oh, are you? Oh, wow. So our conversation about sexually exploiting women and girls didn't upset you.
You're exploiting all your listeners for money.
Wait, I'm exploiting them for money? How so, Steve?
Look at them, all giving you money for what?
Wait, actually, if you want to give me money, guys, so my Venmo, my PayPal are right there. You could also find them in the link tree in my bio. Like literally, you just click a button, then go over to it. Or you could find it in the pinned message of the YouTube stream. So you just said like I'm exploiting them for money.
You're a content creator.
You said that I'm Jessica, thank you so much for allowing me to exploit you for the $20 over on PayPal, saying these white men love using women's bodies and black people's talking points for their arguments, but they don't have empathy for the victims.